Good afternoon everybody. I'm going to talk about LinkedIn in general and just going to create LinkedIn tips, things for you to make life easier on building your network on LinkedIn. I apologise to you if you don't like it as a site, but I found it particularly effective in building top quality business connections. So I will continue to spend most of my time on there as a proportion to my social media efforts. I don't know about you, I'm a little bit lazy. I like to do things the easy way. So as I find things that work, I tend to stuff them in the same places so I can find them again later. So I would implore you to use LinkedIn's questions and answers. Try and make sure you ask one question a week through LinkedIn. And the next tip about questions and answers is link number 2, which is ask the question in 2 categories. I'll show that on the screen for you to the left. There you go, you can see how it's been categorized in 2 categories. You can alter these about, change what they're in, just make sure it fits the question so it helps the people who are looking at the question to give you better answers. The next part of that is, if you do ask in more than one categories, you get people who specialize in different categories. So the broader you can make those categories, the more likely you are to get a wider range of people answering your questions that you're able to build your network with through contact. LinkedIn tip number 3 is an absolute must. I've put it on the LinkedIn basics video as well. Do not upload your address book off your email address book onto LinkedIn, because some of the people are likely to have forgotten you and they will click I don't know and it will restrict your account. LinkedIn tip number 4, it might seem ever so obvious, do take your profile seriously. There are an awful lot of recruiters and an awful lot of business people who actually use LinkedIn as their primary source of quality business contacts or staff, search for staff. So it naturally follows, put a profile photograph on your profile that represents what you're about and who you are. If you find me with an extremely serious face, it's not really truly going to represent me. Most of my photographs are smiling and joking or light-hearted because I'm an easygoing bloke. I want people to see my profile picture and realize what type of person I am. LinkedIn tip number 6 is, well, decide on whether you want to be open to invites from anyone or whether you're not going to be. And the next thing is let people know. Make it clear to people on your profile whether you will consider invites from everybody or whether you won't. Because there are a few people sat on the fence, but most people are either close to invitations from strangers or are not. LinkedIn tip number 7 is basically about exposure. Which is easier, remembering 100 people or having 1,000 people remember you? The answer is it's easier getting 1,000 people to remember you than you remembering 100 people. So why does that matter? Well, LinkedIn is just like any other social network. It requires exposure. It does call itself a professional network, but it still requires exposure. LinkedIn tip number 8, potential employers are good at research. Include all of your past career. An employer isn't going to judge you on what you've done on the past if it's a long time in the past, but it will show the type of person you are if it shows that you are willing to get down and dirty and do something with your hands or do something that's manual to keep the bills paid. I have in the past called myself a career morph because I've done so many different industries. Having said that, I usually spend at least 3 or 4 years in every industry I've been in. What it says about me is that I'm adaptable. What does your profile on LinkedIn say about you? Have a look at it. Following on from that, the public profiles on LinkedIn are crawled by Google spiders. What do you think it does for your SEO if you've got things listed on there that you do? Or what do you think it does for you if you have things on there that you do that aren't listed on your profile? LinkedIn tip number 10 is avoiding I don't knows again. If you don't know somebody well but you'd like to connect with them, try and find a way of asking them first whether they will accept your LinkedIn invite prior to you sending the invite. And if they tell you they won't accept it, what you've done is you've saved one of your 3,000 invites. LinkedIn tip number 11 is back to questions and answers again. If you want a fast answer about something, then list the question at least in one of the two categories as the using LinkedIn section. LinkedIn tip number 13 is never ever accept an invite from your email box. Always log into the LinkedIn site first. Why do this? Because this is how most duplicate files are created on LinkedIn. LinkedIn won't actually stop you from accepting an invite if you don't have a LinkedIn profile linked to that email. It will simply create you a new profile. So that goes back to LinkedIn tip number 12, which is make sure you have all your email addresses added to your LinkedIn profile. I'm not entirely sure how many you can add, but I think it's at least 10. LinkedIn tip number 14, if you're job hunting, before you're using the I don't know button on invites, think about it. Who do those people know? Which job hunters can find you if you create the link? LinkedIn tip number 16, make sure your profile shows your personality, not just your history. All the way through my profile I've tried to add a little bit of humour, I've tried to be a little bit light-hearted, and I've tried to request recommendations that show who I am, not just what I do. LinkedIn tip number 17 is personalise your profile extension. If you look on the screen here, you'll notice that mine just simply has my name at the end, Simon Hamer. If you want to know how to do it, you can search the LinkedIn site, or I can show you now. Why don't I show you now? So there you go, promoting your public profile, creating a personal URL. Just click the link, up it comes. Just go to settings, click edit your public profile. In your public profile URL box on the right, customize, blah 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 blah, just follow it through. It's question number 87 on the answers section on the help center. Why personalise your profile? Well, if somebody's searching for you and it's got your name on it, or a tag that you usually use, like your Twitter username, it's going to be much easier for them to find you. Next LinkedIn tip is a very logical one. Be consistent. Be the same person day in, day out, and be on the site day in, day out. You don't need to spend hours on there. Just go in, update your status, answer a question, ask a question, write something in a group, comment on somebody else's shared comments, answer a poll. Just do something every day so you have a presence on there. When you answer questions for other people and you get a thank you, treat that thank you as a door opener. Don't do a sales pitch or a spam presentation, but just say, you know, thank you me for the question.